1 week ago today, a West Springfield man crashed his flatbed tractor trailer that he was driving, killing 7 motorcyclists in New Hampshire. I'm Dave Madsen.
And I'm Beth Ward. 23-year-old Volodymyr Zhukovskyy is now being held on detention order without bail. But we're learning now that because of the way New Hampshire's laws are written, there's a chance he might not be criminally charged. Western Mass News reporter Audrey Russo joins us in the studio with more. Audrey?
Yeah, Dave and Beth, right now Zhukovskyy faces 7 negligent homicide charges. Police say his truck crossed the center line of the road, striking the motorcyclists, but there's currently no evidence that anything like texting, distracted driving, or impairment caused him to cross that line. A former New Hampshire state prosecutor says he may be able to await his trial without remaining in jail.
Very tragically, 7 people lost their lives. Nobody is arguing that that's not tragic. But in terms of dangerousness to the community, is this likely to occur again if this person is released?
A former New Hampshire state prosecutor argues that Volodymyr Zhukovskyy could await his trial out of jail. She says under New Hampshire law, absent a provable distraction like texting or driving under the influence, Zhukovsky's crossing of the center line is not enough to charge him criminally in the crash that killed 7 motorcyclists. She says his former troubled driving history could play a role in determining a potential bail amount.
A judge can consider anything that might be relevant.
We checked with Hampden County District Attorney Anthony GULLUNI, and he says the same is not true in Massachusetts.
And there are grades, so if there isn't a sort of, so to speak, aggravating factor like distraction, texting, if there isn't one of those aspects at least that we can prove, the standard then becomes negligent driving, and the penalty is a range, but that range could be probation or it could be house of correction time, and in some cases, state prison time.
To one aspect of the case Western Mass News asked about, GULLUNI couldn't help but react.
He was allowed to leave the scene.
Coos County lawyers say Zhukovskyy was allowed to leave the accident and return home after being questioned, saying they needed to establish probable cause before arresting him. GULLUNI says the Bay State's action wouldn't have likely been the same.
Every case is different, but I'm fairly confident in saying no, that if there's probable cause to believe that a crime was committed, a police officer can generally place a person under arrest. Given the severity of the offense and the loss of life in particular, an individual here in Massachusetts would not have left the scene by his own volition.
Still, he acknowledges the trauma of the accident would have put a strain on the first responders, whose first priority is to preserve as many lives as possible, rather than prosecute.
I am just taken by the tragedy of it all, like I think most people are. And I certainly would not criticize law enforcement. I'm sure they are doing their jobs to the best of their ability with a very complicated incident, and obviously an incident that has rendered 7 families now into grief.
Zhukovskyy's trial is set to begin in November. Reporting live in studio, Audrey Russo for Western Mass News.